the other students, before her gaze came back to his. Sorry, what was that? Her voice was soft and still a little gravelly from sleep, making him think about how she would sound in the morning. He shook his head to clear it, reminding himself that he was not a pervert that lusted after the medical students, and rose back to standing so that he was no longer at her eye level. She was so attractive he actually felt a little shaken by it. Jamie made it a rule never to even flirt with the med students. He was 33 and a consultant. The age gap alone would make it inappropriate. But the fact that he was in charge of the medical student training for anesthetics at St. George's Hospital made it downright wrong. And Jamie never, ever did anything to risk his career. Work and his reputation meant everything to him. He turned away and stalked back to the front of the room, now even more annoyed with this girl, not only for falling asleep in the middle of his teaching. He was charismatic, funny, a bloody great teacher, goddammit, but also for making him inappropriately horny while at least 20 sets of eyes focused on his every move. Right, well, he snapped, dragging Simman, the life-sized plastic patient they used for simulated clinical scenario training, up the bed and dumping him with a loud thud down at the end. Probably ill-advised, seeing as Simman cost at least £70,000, but Jamie was beyond clear thinking at this point. If we are all now fully conscious, I'd quite like to move this along. Who's keen to try their hand at the first one? Silence. Jamie wasn't surprised. Simulation training was intimidating and potentially embarrassing, but it was by far the best way to learn. Better a solid fuck-up with a plastic dummy than a live patient. The days of see one, do one, teach one were on the way out in this generation. He sighed, then caught sight of Sleepy Girl stretching in her chair. At this stage, he would have hoped that the students would have grown out of the selfish brat mindset enough not to party all night and come in hungover and tired. Suddenly, a hand in the front row shot up, and Jamie dropped his gaze to the stocky guy who had volunteered, giving him an encouraging smile. Okay. Jamie glanced at the chap's ID. Toby. Well volunteered. Come up here, mate. Toby stood next to Jamie, then crossed his arms over his chest, exuding confident little shit vibes in abundance. I just need one more. Jamie trailed off, and then a slow grin spread across his face as his gaze came to rest on Sleepy Girl. You! He barked suddenly, causing most of the room to start in their chairs. He took in the horrified look on Sleepy Girl's face with satisfaction as she realized he was pointing straight at her. Yep, you. Semi-conscious, burning the candle at both ends girl. Up you come. Time to learn medicine now. At the back of his mind, Jamie knew he was being a bit of a knob, but somehow he didn't seem to be able to claw back his normal controlled attitude. Sleepy Girl stood up slowly and made her way to the front of the room with obvious reluctance. She wasn't that short, but next to Toby and swallowed by that awful jumper, she looked tiny. Okay, guys, Jamie said, laying his hand on Simman's shoulder and dragging his gaze away from Sleepy Girl. This fella here is going to be our patient. He's not like the resus Annies you're used to. He can breathe, he can talk, he can demonstrate clinical signs, and we use him to train you lot, because if you're going to make mistakes, it's better that they're with this chap than on the real thing. He moved to the computer monitor by Simman's head and started programming in the first scenario. An image of Sleepy Girl's serene, unconscious face flashed through his mind, making him clench his jaw in frustration. Unfortunately, he let his anger choose the scenario for him. Let her try and sleep through this one, he thought to himself with an evil smile. Right, Toby and... Jamie looked for Sleepy Girl's ID. I'm Libby, she said, tucking some of her hair behind her ears and shifting nervously on her flat shoes. Toby, a.k.a. cocky little shit, was still cool as a cucumber. Okay, Libby and Toby.